The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod. We're so excited that you're here with us this morning. We've got three great guests for you this morning. Just want to run through a couple of different things, and then we're going to be joined by Spencer Hart and Naomi Rubin, and they have a new short film out that's part of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge that we want you to be watching today. And then later we're going to be joined by Thomas McKeon, author and advocate. And you know, Thomas is amazing, and sometimes there's a little controversy. So we're excited, though, to welcome Thomas back to the show. But first, you're watching us live right now. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Later on, we'll be available on podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We want you to know that the chat is open. If you want to be writing in and you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, you certainly can right now. We enjoy hearing from you guys. But as I mentioned, most of our audience listens to us in podcasts. We absolutely love that. It is available wherever you get your podcasts. Our fabulous Chris Desmond, who I just honestly, I'm so grateful for, is showing you on the screen some of the different ways that you can catch the show, ways that you can listen to the podcast. And we hope that you will like, share, review, let people know about this podcast. If you see something here that you like, we love it. Good morning, Helen. So glad that you're here with us. I know yesterday some of you were just tagging a friend in the comments so that they would be able to find the feed. We love that. Absolutely anything, because you know our whole mission here is to provide information and inspiration, and we work very hard to try to be able to share whatever we're doing with whoever needs it free of charge. So that is why the podcast is free wherever you download it. I will say this, some of you have written in and said, but you know, I'm working out while I'm doing it, and we do have ads on the podcast. That's what makes it free for you, right? And we hope you'll embrace those sponsors because we certainly appreciate them. But some of you have said, I would rather get it without the sponsors, and I'd be happy to pay a little bit to do that. You can do that now by going to glow.fm/autismlive for $5 a month. And it's even cheaper if you do it not monthly, if you do it across a year. You can have everything that the Autism Network does ad-free. So that includes Autism Live, that includes Ask Dr. Doreen, and all of the other podcasts that we're incubating. You get that ad-free through glow.fm/autismlive. So I hope that you will watch or listen however it is important to you. And if you're struggling with like, how do I find it? Where do I find it? I'm watching the YouTube channel, or I don't know where to find the YouTube channel. It's all easy. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere. But if you're having trouble, you can write specifically to me, Shannon at autism-live.com, with your comments, questions, or difficulties if you're having trouble finding where we are. But we're thrilled to be here with you. So we're foregoing the jargon of the day today because we're just rich in guests today. My first two guests are two amazing, young, talented actresses. I am talking about Spencer Hart, who, I love that she is so aptly named because Spencer is a heart. She's in my heart. She's absolutely amazing. You have seen, and as well, Naomi Rubin. Oh my gosh. And we've interviewed Naomi on the red carpet before. We've never had her on the show with us. Both of these young ladies were featured in the series Atypical. And they're joining us today because they have a film that's out right now, and they need for you to watch it for a lot of different reasons, and you should anyway. So let's get them in here, and then we're going to talk about it. There's Spencer and Naomi. Hi, ladies.
Hey, guys. Hi, Shannon. Hi.
It's so good to see you both. So you guys are in this new film. It's just a 5-minute short. So we want to say to our audience, you should be watching this. This is part of the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. This is a film challenge that's, I don't know if this is the 10th or the 11th year that was.
It's the 11th.
The 11th. Thank you.
The 11th year.
Wonderful. And who was this started by? Do you guys know? I have it here, but I'd rather hear from you.
It was started by Nick Novicki.
There we go.
He is a comedian.
And he's and he's an actor.
Wonderful.
And he loves and he's giving everybody a chance.
Exactly.
Film challenge.
Yes, it's an opportunity for people of all abilities to showcase their talent. This happens every year. And you guys have a film that's just tearing it up this year. You guys you're in contention for winning the big award, which is a big deal, the awareness award, but they need your help, you guys. They need for you to take 5 minutes today and go watch their film. So let's talk a little bit about who wants to tell me what the title of the film is and what the title means.
It's called Carps.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. And Naomi, maybe you can tell me what CARPS stands for.
So it stands for, it's an acronym, capable young adults really, really prospering.
I love that. Which is what we want everybody to be, right?
Yeah.
So every year, Easter Seals says, okay, we're going to make a film challenge, and they give you an overriding topic. What was this year's topic, Spencer?
It's called buddy comedy.
Buddy comedies, which you gotta love. I love a good buddy comedy. And so from there, so everybody knows what the overriding topic is, then people create teams to make a film. So you guys have a pretty illustrious team. You got some pretty amazing people, including yourselves, working on this film, but you have a guest on this film who's a pretty well-known superstar. Spencer, do you want to tell us who the big superstar is in your film?
Yeah, her name is Carol Kane, and she's been in a lot of films, movies, and if you know Princess Bride,
yes,
and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, she's in that. And she's also in Wicked on Broadway. She used to be on Wicked.
Amazing. And part of this film challenge is that everybody has to donate their time. So Carol Kane donated her time to have a cameo in this film with you guys. I got to say, she's hilarious, and you guys' reaction to her is hilarious. So, if you're like, well, I want to see this, I want to know where to watch this. We are tagging it in the comments. That if you're watching on Restream, you'll be able to see it. But anybody can just Google Easter Seals Film Challenge. You can go to the website. I went there this morning to try this out to make sure I wasn't steering anybody wrong. If you just Google it and it comes up, then you're on the film site and it says visit us on YouTube. And you click the YouTube thing, it takes you right to the channel. And then they have a bar that has some of the top films there. Your film is titled Carps. It's in that top bar. But if you're struggling to find it, there is a button that you can just click videos and it shows all of them and you can find Carps in there. So every time you watch a video, it counts as a view, which is kind of a vote. And my understanding is the person with the most votes on Sunday wins the awareness award. Is that how you guys understand it? Have I got it right? I
believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
because we had to be nominated first.
Okay. Well, you guys are in the top 2. I checked this morning. You're in the top 2 and it's neck and neck. So everybody needs to hop on and give you guys a vote. Let's talk about how many days did you have? Because they announced the film, then more stuff happens, then they give you some more criteria, and then how many days do you actually have to make the film? Naomi, do you know?
I believe it's 5 days. It's 5 days.
5 days.
We shot for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then they had to get it into editing for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
And then submit on the on the last day.
It's a crazy time. I know, because everybody that was at the Autism and Entertainment Conference was like running around with chickens with their heads cut off going, I got to get home because we're finishing up our films, because the 5 days overlap. It's a nutty time of year every year because teams all over town are forming and creating films. So you filmed for 3 days, because think about this, guys. It's everything has to get done in 5 days. So, you're writing it, you're performing it, then all the editing. And you guys have this amazing animated thing for your credits. That's like, you feel like, okay, I just watched this amazing movie. And then there's this animation that is very reminiscent of, I'm trying to think what that Don Knotts movie was where he turned into a fish. The Incredible Mr. Limpet. It's crazy animation. It's so good. So I don't know how you guys did that in 5 days.
I love the animation.
Is it? It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So, and you guys are the stars of it. Can we say that you're the buddies?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are the buddies.
Okay. So Spencer, tell us a little bit about your character.
My Jules. She's she's a clean freak and loves the brother Max, her roommate.
Uh-huh.
And she's like the Ernie of her birth.
Okay. And Naomi, tell us a little bit about your character.
So my character is named Max, and so Max is kind of, when we first meet her, she seems sort of like, I don't want to be here. And to be fair, she sort of finds herself stuck in these situations with Jules. That's kind of like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
And she's just, and I think what's fun about Max being in this particular situation in the short film, is she sort of finds herself kind of having to be like, oh no, I have to I have to do this with Jules because of Jules, and this is it just is I have to take a lot more action than I feel like I need to, or should.
Yeah, there's kind of a little bit of a Lucy and Ethel kind of a thing that you guys have going on, that, Lucy always has these ideas and then Ethel has to help come clean up. And that's kind of what I got from it, was this, because Lucy and Ethel are there together and something happens. It's quite shocking, the thing that happens, but hilarity ensues. Well, you got to watch it, you guys. You got to watch it. I don't want to give anything away. I don't want to do spoiler alerts. So the link to the actual film, and we will post the link so that you can do it right from our Facebook today, so that you guys can get there. But you don't have to wait for that. You can go to Easter. You can Google Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge. I think it's worthwhile to go to the website and read about some of the things. Click on the YouTube thing, then find the video CARPS, CARPS, and you don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to go someplace and vote. Just by watching it, you are voting. And that counts as a vote, you watching it. So then please share it. I think that's what we want to have. So if you win the awareness award, how much does the film win? Do either of you know?
$17,000.
We're gonna win $17,000, and we're gonna try to make a scissor reel.
There we go. So you've already got plans for how you would continue to put people to work, which I think is really what this film challenge is about. It's giving people an opportunity to work and be seen and have their work be seen. You guys had a lot of other people in the cast as well that people will, and it's in the we put the link on Facebook and YouTube now. So everybody should be able to have it. It's there. You can click it and do it. But Matthew Vonderay from Champions, who was hilarious on Champions. He's so good in it. John Tucker from Born This Way. Dylan Kidman from As We See It is in Abby.
My friend Abby.
Yes.
Who's really big on TikTok.
Yes, and Abby, you guys know Abby. We're having her on next week. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. Abby and her mom are going to be on. You know Abby from Love on the Spectrum, and of course Carol Kane. So
and Liz Fenning is also in it.
There we go. Thank you. I don't have
Jack Wang.
There we see. You guys know your whole cast, and you guys had
and Marco Sanchez. We can't forget Marco Sanchez.
There we go.
He's so awesome.
What wonderful. Well, it's a great cast, and Spencer, who wrote the script for this?
My mom and Naomi's mom wrote it.
How amazing. How amazing is that? So we're so excited that you guys are doing so well with this. It can be a hard thing because now the films are out. So you had 5 days to make it. You had to submit it, and then they take a week to put it all together or so. And now it just the actual this phase of it started on Sunday, I believe, and it only goes till Sunday. So it's 1 week that we, the public, have to watch them and use our watch button to actually vote. And then how long do either of you know how long it is before you get to know who won? And there are other awards too. We should add there are other awards as well, but $17,000 is the one that has our attention.
We know the winners on May 9th.
Okay. Well, I love
June 9th is June 9th.
June 9th. Okay. So that's okay. So it's not that long away, and we'll know. Well, ladies, I want to know from each of you what was something fun that about getting to do this. Naomi, you want to go first and tell us what you liked about this?
I really enjoyed being able to work with Spencer and also being able to work with the whole cast. I got to work with Carol King, which was cool. Yeah. I got to work with my acting coach, Liz Fenning, who played a pretty important part in the film. I also got to work with Matthew Vonderay, who I've known since elementary school. I got to work with John Tucker, who is pretty dang funny. And I got to work with Dylan Kidman for the second time on a film challenge. And he's also hilarious. And yeah, it was pretty fun.
Love it. And Spencer, what did you really enjoy about getting to do this?
That I can work with my friends and I did this amazing stunt.
Yeah, you sure did. Was that hard?
Yeah. And I was a little nervous at first, but it was fine.
It was amazing. I don't know how much, was edited, but there is a stunt that Spencer does. You guys need to watch this. Just go watch it. Well, amazing. Anything else you want to tell them about the film?
Thank you. Please watch it and share it with as many people as you can.
Absolutely. And Spencer, you were saying?
And thank you for watching the film. And I would love for everyone to watch the film. Yes. It's funny. We're friends and family like.
Yes, I love it. I want to thank both of you for all your work, all that you do. I don't get to see you guys that often, but I know a lot of times when I see you, Naomi, it's because I'm on a red carpet for a charity or something like that, and you are showing up to represent, and I want you to know how much we appreciate that. And Spencer, you and I work red carpets together. I love being on a red carpet with you when you're helping me interview people. You're amazing at that.
Yeah, I have fun working with you, Shannon.
Well, I'm always happy to be around either of you. You're remarkable. And my son, you're like a sister to my son, Spencer. And he said to make sure that I said hello to you. He has a little something for you. He's at school right now, but anyway, we'll have to see you soon. And Naomi, I look forward to getting to know you better. But you guys are amazing. Your film is amazing. We're telling everybody, go to Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge and watch the movie Carps, CARPS. Is that why there's fish in the thing? Because it's like a carp? I just got it.
They're carp fish.
I was like, the animation was so amazing. I didn't put it together until just now. Great job, you guys. Everybody needs to check it out. All right. I got to get to my other guests, but thank you so much for being here, you guys.
Thank you for your time, Shannon.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Good luck. I hope you win.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye-bye. They're so delightful. Absolutely love them. So I want to take a minute here to talk about our next guest. Please go watch that film. Would you please just do that? But I want to talk about our next guest is Thomas McKean. And Thomas is an author and an advocate. And we'll talk about why. I don't understand why there's so much controversy around Thomas. I think he says it like it is. And that's an amazing thing, and we need more of that in our lives. He's published 2 books. The first one, Soon Will Come the Light, is biographical in nature and covers a lot of the behavior and neurosensory information on the topic of autism. That book was released in 1994. It took a national award for literary excellence that year and remains in print all these years later. His second book, Light on the Horizon, which is currently out of print, is more of a how-to kind of book dealing with various aspects of autism. Both were published by Future Horizons. And interestingly enough, a side note, Soon Will Come the Light was their first book ever that they published. I do want to say that Future Horizons is also my publisher. It is important to note for me that Thomas, because of that book, was featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show. How often do you get to say that? That's a pretty impressive thing. I can hear you there, Thomas. Hi, I'm going to welcome you. There's so many more things that I have here to talk about. But I think we've covered the most important things. I always like for people to tell us in their own words how you choose to identify about diagnosis. What words do you like to use? I
have been asked that question quite a bit lately. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can absolutely hear you. We can see you and we can see your teddy bear.
Okay, well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yes, the bear. I as I just said, I've been asked that question a lot lately. I have given it thought. I don't deny the diagnosis. I concede it's there. It's a part of me, but it's not all that I am. You know, I'm more than that. And I don't identify as this, that, or the other. I just kind of identify as Thomas, and the autism is one part of that, and there are other parts as well. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, because I think I believe what we all need to come to is that if we are individuals, if we truly are individuals in this world, then we should be allowed to identify ourselves in whatever way we'd like to, with whatever words we would like to. And if those are your words, then that's all that needs to be said. So we
identify with kindness. Yes.
There we go. So Thomas, I've been saying all week long, I don't know why, and maybe you can shed some light on this. There always tends to be a little bit of controversy swirling with you, but I don't understand why that is. Can you help us to understand? Because I don't think that's of your making. What do you think is, and do you think that? Do you think there's a little controversy?
Yeah, I can explain that. Yes, the controversy comes because I was there when the multicolored puzzle piece awareness ribbon was created. I was in the room. I had an input and a vote on that. And over the course of time, these 20-some years later, that particular symbol has, for reasons I don't really understand, become controversial.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who really object to it, but I'm like, can we all just have our opinions and feelings? I don't understand why. I have seen that sometimes you are attacked online. I don't know if you want to talk at all about that and
Just
what.
a few moments ago, someone said to me, "I hope your kids abandon you." Um,
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I said,
Exactly.
well, this is the reason that people aren't paying attention to you is because you're doing things like this. But one of the things I wanted to do here was to tell your audience the truth, what that symbol does mean, what it does represent, why we made it the way we did.
Let's hear it. Go right ahead.
You may remember back in 1963, back across the pond.
Well, I was one then, so I don't
with,
remember anything then.
I was still a couple of years away.
There we go.
Some nice fellow, a father of a child with autism, I understand, created this puzzle piece symbol with a crying child in it. And that became, at that point, a symbol for autism, or at least that organization, the National Autism Society or something, whatever it was they had over there in England. And I don't know if I can say that it was appropriate for the time or not. I know that we certainly did not know near as much about autism itself as we know now. And I also know that the diagnosis was usually the more severe type of kids, in the institutions rocking in the corner, which there's nothing really happy about. And I think that's where the crying child came from. Fast forward ahead, several years later, 1999, the Autism Society of America, which I was on the board of directors at the time, kind of thought that symbol was a little bit outdated. We thought that we knew a little bit more about it. We thought that there was a little more hope now than there was then. We thought the crying child had, because of this knowledge and awareness and hope that we had, come to be kind of inappropriate. So we kind of redid things. We wanted to acknowledge the past and we wanted to look toward the future at the same time. And so we kept the puzzle piece because at that time, we still kind of felt autism itself was puzzling, not the people who are diagnosed with it. We weren't saying anything negative about them. We weren't saying that they're a puzzle. We weren't saying they're missing pieces. We were just saying that the condition itself, the diagnosis itself, is something that we haven't quite figured out yet. We replaced the crying child with 4 bright colors. The colors themselves represent what has grown to be the diversity of autism. We could talk about that in a minute. Everyone from those same kids rocking in the corner to the ones with the house and the home and the wives and the PhDs living the American dream, and everyone in between. We wanted the symbol to represent everyone. And the brightness of the colors, that represents the hope that we have that one day we're going to figure it out. And that's kind of where we were coming from when we made it.
Well, and good for people to hear that was what the intent was.
Yes.
Because I think that helps knowing what the intent is, because things can be misunderstood and misconstrued. I think people still have emotional reactions to something, even if the intent was good. And I think people should be allowed to have their emotional reactions. I do think we need to draw the line at, vilifying people who had good intentions.
Right.
I think that's where I want to be on that. But I also, you mentioned like there is this diversity within a spectrum, if you will, in the autism community that makes it hard sometimes, even for those of us that are in, the community with children, but certainly for people, my friends who don't have friends on the spectrum, or at least that they don't know, because at this point I think everybody does, or they don't have children, the most frequent question they'll ask me is, I don't get it because, when I think that autism is this, and they'll describe somebody, like you said, who owns their business, has 2 cars in the driveway, and has, a relationship and a job and kids, and they own their own business, right? And they're on the spectrum. And then we have people everywhere else on the spectrum, down to people who are struggling to communicate absolutely their most basic needs. Right. And they can't get a grip on it. I feel like a lot of us can't get a grip. So I want you to talk and tell us where you are on this.
We can't get a grip. And I was just telling you a little bit before this started at 1:00 that I'm thinking the diagnosis itself has become unsustainable. When the original puzzle piece with the crying child in it was made, there was no spectrum. That didn't exist back in 1963. It was just the more severe kids with autism, and those were the only ones being diagnosed. The other ones, the ones with the 2 cars in the garage that you mentioned, Thomas, they were just quirky.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Because I don't understand that. Because if you're saying to me that only the most severe was there, you had the diagnosis, correct?
Yes.
So then,
I was diagnosed in 1979 under much more stringent criteria. Okay. I'm a little bit of a special case. Okay. What happened to me was I spent a little time, I think, in level 3 land. I don't think I ever would have been diagnosed as that. Okay. What happened with me was I just got really, really, really lucky, and I found the right kind of help at the right time. And that doesn't happen to everybody.
Okay. So to clarify, the people, maybe the spectrum was there, but it wasn't being diagnosed, maybe?
There's debate about that.
Okay.
We could say yes, we could say no, we don't know.
We don't know. Okay. All right. Keep going. I'm sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to clarify.
Yes. Thank you for that. The remembering where I was, the more severe were the ones that were diagnosed, and the higher functioning, the lower support needs, whatever they're called these days, were just quirky. And as time went by, it was 17 years later, I think, after that symbol was made, that I was diagnosed. And by that time, things with autism had kind of shifted just a little bit. And they were looking at, okay, this guy is able to communicate a little bit, but he still has these symptoms. So we're going to call it autism. And that kind of just kept going to the point where now it's this big spectrum, and it's gotten to the point where just about anyone can find a way to fall into it. I think we need to take a look at this and kind of differentiate and specify the types better than level 1, 2, and 3, because that's just not working.
Yeah. So what would you like to see happen?
I'd like to see it separated to the point where the diagnosis gets a different name. I think as far as autism goes, we should leave that what they are now calling the classic autism, the higher support needs people. I'm trying to be politically correct here. And as far as the higher functioning, the lower support needs, the if you will Asperger's type that used to be, I think we need to separate that into something like Asperger's, and we need to give it a different name than that. But I think we need to separate them out to kind of alleviate the confusion a little bit, because they're two completely different things.
Yeah. I remember it would have been around when my son was diagnosed in 2006 that and I was doing as much reading as I could about autism. And one of the things that really struck a chord with me, and I don't remember who it was that said, let's stop calling it autism. Let's call it autisms, because there are so many different types. And I had not heard that before. But I was starting to see that play out as I was looking at my child, and and every once in a while I would meet a child that I would go, oh, they remind me of my child, and they have these very distinct features about how this presents in them. But then I would meet people that were on the spectrum, and I would go, I don't see any resemblance to my son. And the way that his best little buddy, when they were in preschool, they both had the exact same diagnosis. And these two kids, the way their autism presented was worlds different. They were best buddies. It didn't prevent them from being good friends. They had such a good time together. But both of our, me as his mom and the other boy's friend, we would just marvel at it and go, that's interesting that they couldn't be more dissimilar in terms of how this is presenting for them. So that was in my mind early on. I don't know. I know everybody is working on phenotyping autism. Have you read any of the studies about this, Thomas?
I haven't. And I haven't. I'll look into that.
It's pretty interesting.
I do. This is the first time that I've heard autisms with an S, plural. That's an interesting idea. I'm not sure it would work, though. I think that would, I'm not sure that would alleviate the confusion. It might, if we could find a way to clearly differentiate one of the types from the other. In other words, what's going on with this person as opposed to what's going on with the other person, the two friends that you mentioned.
Yeah, well, they're actually working on that. One of the groups that I'm involved with, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, years ago, before the pandemic, they were able to, in a study, clearly identify 17 different subtypes of autism. And they were able to identify that through different characteristics that were behavioral, but they were also, as the pandemic was starting, being able to classify that also by looking at, and the groups matched. I have to say, this is fascinating to me. They were looking at these individuals behaviorally, but they were also looking at their feces and urine, poop and urine. And seeing that there were markers in the poo that clearly identified this group, which matched the behavior. That's kind of fascinating to me.
It is. I know about the urine, opiates and peptides. I know about that. Yeah. I haven't heard about the other.
Yeah.
But it doesn't surprise me. It's long been thought that there is some kind of gut or gastrointestinal issues which are very closely associated with autism. So it doesn't surprise me that there's some changes there too.
It's just fascinating. But what they're trying to do is put together, and now that we have decades of experience with this, right? And more decades coming, because what else are we doing? To be able to identify, okay, so this subtype of autism, there have been this many people who have responded this well to this diet or to this intervention or teaching this lesson first in this order, so that one of the things that they found, this is the example that I always give everybody, is that in one of the subtypes of autism, there is a disturbance visually with the ocular muscles aren't focusing exactly right. And so it makes it very difficult for the individual to catch a ball. And that catching a ball is a skill that then later on, if you have difficulty focusing those eyes to catch a ball, you may have difficulty riding a bike, which will then lead to, you will also have difficulty perhaps with reading. And so what they have discovered through this study is that for those individuals, if they spend more time kindly and gently working on the eye muscles catching the ball, that the bike riding and the driving a car and all of the things and reading develop much quicker, that the ball skill is important.
That is interesting, and I agree with that. what I have heard about catching the ball, and I have heard about it, is a little different than you. Perhaps not. It might be the same thing. What I heard about it was more about perception, and what I heard, and I can verify this because it happens with me, is when the ball is coming at you, and when you are looking to reach up and catch the ball appears to be moving much faster than it really is, which kind of interferes with the visual and the catching. So it's perceptually, the ball appears to be coming at you in a way that it is really not.
Very interesting. But, I wonder if that is also an eye muscle thing, the perception of it, or do we think that is just visual cortex?
I always thought it was neurological. This is the first I've heard of the eye muscle. You're definitely a little more up to date than I am.
I don't know about that. I've got to catch up with you,
and I'll have to do that to be ready for next time.
Well, there's so many things I haven't read and don't know. So
I think it's great that they found 17 variations, and I totally believe that. I think there may be more. If they can do that, if they can find those and they can prove that, they can say, look at this data that we have, look at this evidence that we have, this type we can discern by doing this, and this type we can discern by doing this, and this type responds to this therapy, and this type responds to that therapy.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. That's like a leap light years ahead from where we were.
Yeah, they're not 100% there yet. And I will say this, that the pandemic certainly did not help for that study. And a lot of the scientists that were working on there were people working on the behavior side, and there were people who were working completely separately on identifying the biological markers in the bodily fluids and the poop. I don't know what else to call it. But all the scientists that were working on the poop got rerouted to working on COVID because all the scientists in the world got rerouted onto that. So
yeah, I remember that.
All other research took a back seat. So I don't know where we are with all of that. But I know that other groups are working on it as well in their own way. And, to me, it's exciting to think that someday when somebody gets a diagnosis, that perhaps we will use different language, and they will have a specific subtype, and there will be things that they will benefit from knowing, like these folks need to go and have an eye exam to see how the muscles are working. These folks, we need to spend a little bit more time in OT. These folks, there's the potential to have great sensory issues. So we're going to start working on sensory integration much sooner, right? I think that will be an exciting time. I hope it comes in my lifetime.
Yeah, I was sitting here just thinking that very same thing, that I hope I am here to see it.
Won't that be fun?
It would. It would be wonderful. And there's a debate over labels and whether labels are a good thing or not, and whether they're appropriate or not. But they do serve one very important function, and I would think that would apply here, is if we can classify the different subtypes of autism, if we could give them a label, not only would that stop the bullying that's going on in the community, but it would also say, okay, this guy needs this and this guy needs that, just like you were just saying.
Yeah. Let's talk about the bullying for a second. I think you're on the front line of this, Thomas.
I am.
Being an advocate, being a thought leader, being somebody who doesn't shrink away from things. What is this like for you?
Well, the problem is there are people claiming autism, self-diagnosed, who are going after parents for things that are just absolutely not the parent's fault. If you're a parent and you post a puzzle piece on social media, then you're going to get it. That's why, by the way, that's why my kids need to abandon me, is because for Autism Awareness Month, I currently have a little puzzle piece profile picture, and that's why my kids should want nothing to do with me, because I'm horrible to them because I posted a puzzle piece on Facebook.
The assumption being that you are a person who has children on the autism spectrum. They are not seeing that you are indeed a self-advocate.
No, they're not. They are thinking that I am a parent who hates his kids because I posted a puzzle piece online. Right. Yes. Yeah. But see, I'm seeing this, and I'm kind of coming to the defense of the parents, and I'm kind of getting it from both sides. I'm getting these parents that are embracing me, and I'm getting this other group which is not. But the reason that I'm doing that is because back in the 90s, when I was active, the parents did kind of embrace me a little bit. They welcomed me into their lives and their homes, and they introduced me to their kids, and I worked with them, and I stayed with them for days, weeks, months. And, they said, look, Thomas, this is our lives. This is what autism is like. This is what mild autism is like. Come into my home, stay a while. Let me show you my more severe kids so you can see what that's like. Let me show you what it is like to be a parent of a child with autism like this. And because of that, I can see both sides. I see the child side and I see the parent side. And in looking at both of those things together, that's how I've been able to find the answers for others that I have. Yeah. So I'm really very thankful to parents for doing that for me, because I feel like I've got a better view, a more well-rounded picture of what autism is.
But I hope you understand the other side of that, Thomas. That
I do understand the other side. I understand that they want the puzzle piece changed. I understand why they want the puzzle piece changed. And I even sort of, to some extent, agree with them, though not for the same reason. I don't have a problem with changing it. My problem is how they're going about asking for that.
I just want to clarify that what I was talking about is that you were a gift to those parents. You talked about how the parents were kind to you. You were a gift to those parents because I know, and my son was diagnosed in 2006. And one of the first things that I did was, took to Google was kind of young then, but I took to the internet and tried to find stories of hope. I wanted to know what was possible. And, I remember the first time that I met face to face an adult on the spectrum who was able to talk to me, and I cried. I was like, this is amazing, because back then, we weren't seeing a lot of examples of that. And more importantly, when I introduced, my husband came to be at a thing with me, and this young man was there. He was an adult who had been diagnosed as a child, and he was standing in a group of people, and I brought my husband up to them, and I introduced this group of people, and he and two other guys stood with my husband, and they were talking about films. And they had this great conversation. I walked away, came back, and then my husband and I went and sat down. It was a social event. And I said, wasn't that amazing? And he goes, yeah, everything's amazing. What are you talking about? And I said, wasn't that amazing that you were talking with this guy? And I said his name. And my husband said, yeah, he's really cool. I liked everybody that I was talking to. I said, no, that's this person that I was telling you about. And my husband just wasn't getting it. And I said, no, that's so-and-so that, he was diagnosed when he was our son's age. And my husband got dizzy. He was like, are you telling me that that's what's possible? Because we weren't seeing that. And so for families, Thomas, to have you come into their home and tell you your experiences and watch their experiences, which are different, and to watch respectfully their experiences, but while they got to see who you were, that was a gift to those families. It's still a gift to us. It's why we make the time for you to be here, Thomas, because people need to hear your story. It's an important story in the history of all of this. So I do understand that there is this whole other thing that you thought I meant about the puzzle piece, and talk a little bit about, you said when you were giving your answer that you kind of agree with them in some ways. So do you think that the puzzle piece needs to change now?
Yes, and I will tell you why. First, though, thank you for those kind words. I have had the same thing happen to me. I have had parents meet me and just collapse in my arms crying.
Yeah.
And it did take me a few times of that happening to actually figure out why and what was going on, because I was new to autism at the time, and I didn't really understand it. And when I finally did, I will say that I did feel a little bit of weight on my shoulders, because what really happened was I went to sleep one night, kind of going nowhere, hopeless nobody, and literally woke up the next day an international role model.
Yeah.
And that was at times a little too much for me. And there were times when I fell apart and couldn't handle it. And it was something that I had to grow into. And that was a little difficult to do.
Yeah.
As far as the puzzle piece goes, yes, I do agree we need to change it. When we made it, it was 99 would be what, 20, 24, 20 something years ago. I've never been good with math.
25.
And, the times have changed, and people change, and situations change, and the world changes. And I will, till my dying day, even die on the hill, that yes, it was appropriate for the time that we made it. Yeah. I absolutely, with all my heart, believe that. I also believe that times have changed since then. There are valid reasons to change it, which I don't want to get into, because I would tell you, but I feel that would give the bullies a little more ammunition for parents, and I don't want to do that to them.
Yeah.
What I will say is times have changed, and I think it's okay for us to update that, to change it into something that would work a little better in these modern times in 2024.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see if I think one of the difficult things is that there's just like the spectrum, there is no core thing that you can hang your hat on for a group that represents autism. There's a group over here and a group over there and an organization here and a charity here and they're all different, but there is no one funnel for autism. There's no one voice. So picking a symbol, it just makes my head hurt. Like, I don't know how we would all rally around anything. Because
you're right about that. There was at one time representation and one voice, and I was a part of that way back when.
Yeah.
I was in a board meeting not too long ago with the Autism Society of Ohio. I'm currently on the board of directors there, and one of the other members said during that meeting exactly what you said. She said, we cannot speak with one voice, not anymore. And she's absolutely right about that. And that, I think, is another reason that we need to take another look at the diagnosis and maybe kind of tweak it a little bit, so that we could have one voice for this and another voice for that and another voice for that, so that the different aspects of it can all have one voice. Yeah. I think that's a very important thing that we need to be doing.
I agree with you. I know for me, I said this the other day with another guest. I said, I love self-advocates. I love them. I absolutely love them. I would rather spend time with them than anybody on the planet. I love self-advocates, but they don't often like me. And that's okay. I'm okay with that.
I do. Well, I like you.
But and there are a lot of self-advocates who like me, and I'm always encouraged when a self-advocate says to me, I don't agree with you on everything, Shannon, but I appreciate, because I know where you're coming from and that you care about my opinion And that to me is everything. That makes me want to sob and put my head down and sob, because that is so meaningful to me, because that's what I want to be more than anything else. We don't have to agree on everything. I want it to be clear that I care and that I don't think it's one size fits all. And if somebody is saying to me, here's what I need, that I hear that, not that's what we all need for everybody. It's hard sometimes. It is hard sometimes because, I will make a statement about, my life and my relationship with my son, or how my son and I choose to identify. Because here's a perfect example that my son and I sat down like a year and a half ago. We reevaluate this all the time about how I identify. And there was a time when I used to call myself an autism mom. And then friends of mine who are women, who are on the spectrum, who are moms, came to me and said, hey, could you back off of that? Because that should be reserved for us. And I heard that. I went, oh my gosh, of course. But then, it's an important part of my identity that I identify as a parent who has gone through this experience with my child. So my son and I sat down and talked about it, and we decided on the term pony, that I am a parent of a neurodiverse individual. And whenever I share that, it makes me happy that that's how I'm describing myself. But every once in a while, I have a self-advocate who will say to me, that's wrong, because it should be neurodivergent. And I very politely say to them, thank you. I appreciate that. If I was referring to you, I would use the word neurodivergent, but this is a word that my son chose. And that's truly how he feels. You can say that it's wrong, but aren't we fighting for everybody to be able to say how we feel? Isn't that important?
If that's the word that your son chose, then you are using the right word.
Well, I don't argue it. I say, I appreciate your opinion. I'm going to do what my son has asked me to do, what we've agreed on. I know that I do not mean that to be offensive to you. I hear what you're saying to me, but I'm going to continue. So, it's hard, but, somebody wrote in and said, hi, autism mama here. I think we focus on all the wrong things. And I agree. I want to focus on the caring and the support and the advocacy and being a good ally. I want to focus on that.
And finding answers.
Well, and even finding questions, because I think for some people, the question is different. Do you know what I mean? That for some people, the question might be, how can I get you to accept me the way I am? Whereas somebody else, the question is, how can I find the way for me to communicate to you? And for another person, the question is, how can I find the way to understand the way you are communicating? Like, those are different questions. But if they all come from a place of, I want for you to feel cared about and loved and accepted and appreciated, I think we're in the right neighborhood if we're there. But
those are all good questions.
I think so.
We would have to know who's asking what.
Yes, which goes back to saying maybe it does need to be a spectrum of camps that are people in different camps, so that then you have an appreciation. You don't have the same type of autism that I'm talking about, right?
Right.
Because I hear from the families that are asking right now for a designation for people who are more severely impacted with autism, that I hear the pain from that community, that they feel like they've been left behind. And it tears at my heart. The different posts that parents will do and say, when you talk about, when anybody, not just me, when they say, when you're talking about autism, you're not talking about the same kind of autism that I'm talking about. You're not talking about.
It's been utterly fascinating to watch that change happen over the past 30 years. When I first started doing this work, That's not what autism was. Autism was the more severe.
Yeah.
And as time has gone by, the public perception of it has changed to the point where it's things like Temple and The Good Doctor. And yes, the more severe have been pretty much forgotten and left behind.
Yeah.
And that's not right. And I have been kind of, fighting for them as well in the work I've been doing. I want to say, hey guys, we need to remember these people too.
I want to acknowledge that the person who wrote it and said, Autism Mama here, she said, my son has severe, and when I see highly functional people, it's not the same to me, nor should it be. She says, more than anything, we want to know how to help our child with behaviors and all the other issues, and I don't care what we're calling it. And I'm sending you a hug, Elisa, because absolutely, that's exactly the kind of thing that we were talking about just a second ago, that there are people who need support. They need it now. They need help. And Elisa, I hope, I don't know where you are. I don't know if you're in the United States, but one of my favorite things to tell parents now is that every state has, we all know about calling 411. I didn't know when my son was diagnosed about picking up the phone and dialing 211. That if you dial 211, there are people that are staffed there that have resources and you can ask questions. I always caution people, if you're going to call 211, that's not the place you call if you're in an immediate emergency, because they will mobilize, and I don't want it to be misunderstood. We had one parent who called one time and the phrase that the parent used was, I don't know if I can do this. Now, we've all felt that at one time or another, and I understand what the parent was saying in that moment, but you understand that these are court reporter people, and if you say something like that, there's going to be a different response. If you're feeling that way, please call them and say that. But if that's not really what you mean, be careful and don't say that. But 211, they have resources. They can help you to get Medicaid waivers. They can help you to know what is available to you, what funding is available to you, just putting it out there. But anyway.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Well, I'm just telling people, but it is, that is available to me. I didn't know you could just call 211, and most cities and all states have a 211 website that if you put in your state and 211, you can go to a website and find resources as well. But if you want to talk to somebody, you can't call anybody anymore and just get somebody on the phone except 211. They answer the phone. It's crazy. Thank you. She says, thank you. I didn't know that 211, they can help you to know what waivers are available, and they can give you resources if you need help filling it out. So definitely call them. Thomas, how are we out of time? Did we talk about what you wanted to talk about? I always end up and go, Thomas, I don't think we talked about what you wanted to talk about.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was the NCSA, the Profound Autism Summit.
Yes.
Only this one is short, only in the sense, very quick sense. I wasn't there. I don't really know anything about it. I know that it happened. I know that it occurred. And what I wanted to say was, I'm glad to see that the more severe are getting more attention now, because I think that's something that's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, we cannot leave that portion of our community behind. And that is what I hear whenever I'm out and about, is that somebody will come up to me and say, Shannon, and I'm making a pledge here that we're going to do more shows with guests talking about that. I got to reach out to Judith Ursetti and see if we can get her to be on the show and talk about what's going on. But Thomas, you're amazing. And thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you for sticking up for the parents. But I'm going to say this, and I don't speak for all parents, but, don't take more heat than you can handle on our behalf. Does that make sense?
So far, I haven't.
Okay, good. I'm just reading what Elisa is saying. I see many stories right here on this book for autism. Mom, is crying out for help when I see they don't know where to turn or what to do. Yes, absolutely. But I think 211 is a great place to start. And there is the new commission talking exactly about this, that we hope we're going to see some legislation that's going to help you get some help and support. You can always write to me separately, s.penrod. No, that's wrong. It's changed now. Shannon at autism-live.com. Yes, I know my email address. There we go. You can write to me separately, and I can see what and tell me where in the world you are so that I can help you to connect with resources, because it's not a level playing field. Where you live plays a big role right now in what's available to you. But, usually we're able to shake the bushes and see what's available. So, Thomas, thank you so much. You want to take just a second and talk about your book and where people can get it?
The book is called Soon Will Come the Light. I named it after a lullaby that I wrote for my nephew. The song took an award, and then later the book did too. I'm thankful for both of those things. I'm grateful. You can get it through Future Horizons or through Amazon, and you can find me on Facebook if you're looking for someone with autism who won't come after you. You can find me on Facebook at Thomas A. McKean, McKean, all one word.
Fantastic. Do you know who we have on the show tomorrow, Thomas?
I do. You have a friend of mine on the
Yes.
show tomorrow.
Do you want to tell the folks at home, or you want me to tell them?
I'll tell them. My understanding, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is my friend Temple Grandin is going to be on the show tomorrow.
That is exactly right.
I saw her not too long ago. She came to my area, Central Ohio, to do a talk to promote her book on visual thinking. I came to that and I bought the book, and she signed it for me, and I paid for it. And when I got home, I heard that they were giving books out to the people who attended.
Oh my!
So Temple got some bonus royalties from me. And Temple, if you're listening, I am happy to do that for you.
That's amazing.
I'm happy to do that for you. You deserve much, much more than that, because Temple also is amazing.
She is. She's amazing. So she's going to be on the show tomorrow. And then I'm going to let you go, Thomas. Thank you so much for being on the show. And then I'm going to run down who's on for the next 2 weeks. But thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
All right. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
That was Thomas McKean. Wonderful, wonderful gentleman. So yes, it's true. Dr. Temple Grandin is on the show tomorrow talking about her newest book, which is all about employment for individuals that are on the spectrum. It's just amazing. Then Friday, Jen Barreto will be here. She's an expert in the field of autism, talking about severe challenging behaviors. In particular, we're also going to talk about our jargon of the day is self-injurious behavior. You won't want to miss that. Then on Monday, oh my gosh, Lisa Ackerman, founder of Taka, a true visionary, absolutely amazing. We're going to be talking with her about like the update, because thank you, Thomas, for saying that I was on top of things. I'm not. Lisa is. She got her finger right on the pulse. So she's going to give us an update and tell us about how there's a month-long conference that's been going on for Taka. I hope you guys, because it was like $35 and you could get all the recordings. You still can do that. I hope that you have been doing this. She's going to tell us about what's going on there. Then on Tuesday, originally we were scheduled to have Dr. Grampy on. Fingers crossed, we're working it out, because, we had to cancel on Monday when we were having Lillian Carrier on. And we really want to talk with Lillian, and so we're working it out, but I think we're having Lillian on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, autism expert Marcy Fibro is joining us to talk about autism at school from a BCBA's perspective, talking about the kinds of things when you are doing ABA and school that you need to know to get that one-on-one aid, to, the terminology. She's so good. You're going to love her. Then on Thursday, another autism expert, Jen Yakos, is going to be with us. Oh my gosh, I love her so much. Then on Friday, it is Christine and Abby Romeo from Love on the Spectrum US. You will love them. I can't wait for that. Then the last 2 days of the month, on that following Monday, we'll have licensed and marriage family therapist Vince Redmond will be with us. And then the last show of April will be Dr. Grampy Shea talking with us about how to build language. So I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. I hope that if you're missing shows that you're checking them on podcasts. We tried really hard during this month to bring you just a barrage of information and inspiration. We're rounding the corner, but we're nowhere near done. There's so much more coming up in the next week and a half, starting with Temple Grandin tomorrow. Hello. So there we go. I hope you guys will tune in. I hope you'll tell other people about it. And like, share, review, download, subscribe, all of the things. We'll see you tomorrow with Dr. Grandin. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much. See you next time.